Things to know as a new investor. What are the things that you should know as a new investor? I'm assuming you're 21, 22, 23, 24 years of age and you have not really started investing in a big way, or definitely not invested your own money. Maybe your father put money in some child's fund, maybe your mother put all the money that you got, including her own contribution from gifts that you got, etc., into some child plan or something like that. Even if somebody did invest, it was invested in your name, but you didn't choose the fund or you didn't choose the broker or anything like that, but you have invested. So what happens is, first is start investing. There is no way how you can postpone, unless of course you're saying I need to study further. Then even then all that money could go into a maybe the timing you could get into a ultra short bond fund or something like that with not a very high duration, saying okay, 3 years from now I will pay tax on this, that's okay, or putting in some equity savings fund because it will be taxed better than a debt fund, something like that. So first just start investing, and second, very important, is get an advisor. If you are not in the financial services field, you can get inundated by the amount of phone calls and data and websites and apps telling you what to do, right? So get yourself a good advisor. Like I said, if you're 24, get yourself a 50-year-old advisor. If you're 50 years of age, get yourself a 30-year-old advisor who understands technology and who has the backbone to stand up to you. I have seen this happen. Very successful individuals, whether they are pilots or doctors or thing, doesn't matter, intimidate a young 25-year-old investor and investment advisor, and then the investment advisor says, what could I say? I told him once, but he did not listen, or she did not listen, something like that. These kids are too much overawed by your success. So if Virat Kohli were to sit in the presence of a 25-year-old investor, investment advisor, that kid is bound to get intimidated. He will not have the guts to tell you, sir, at your level of income you should be doing a 5 crore rupee SIP in this fund. He'll never be able to. He will only say 50,000 rupee SIP or things like that. That's wrong advice. So choose an appropriate advisor, and believe me, an advisor is helpful to all of us. I still use an advisor, and the amount of money that he has saved for me, or the mistakes he has stopped me from making, is worth the fees that I pay him. So start investing today. Ideally, your grandfather should have invested, your father should have invested, all the elders in your house should have invested, and you should just continue the process. If that has not happened, be the first. So which means now when you start investing, especially if you are investing in equities or equity mutual fund, it is important to take the family along. Explain to your father, explain to your mother that the money that you are putting is going to be in a scheme where the standard deviation will be high. So after 5 years it could look like you would have been better off in PPF, but over 15 years you will definitely make money. So bring them in. Don't tell them, oh, in 3 months I'm going to get 30% return. You may get, when you get, celebrate, but don't have very high expectations. So fourth, the important thing is to understand that the biggest cause of success, whether in a marriage or whether in a job or whether it's investing, is to have low expectations. When you have high expectations, you have a problem. I keep saying this to the kids I meet at the academy where I go to. Say, when you are getting into a team where they don't know you at all, don't say you are a Kapil Dev or a Sachin Tendulkar. Say, I can do a little bit of batting and bowling, I can do reasonable fielding, get in, maybe bat at number 7, doesn't really matter, but go and show your mettle. Let them decide that you deserve a number 4 position. Don't ask for a number 4 position, right? So grow it rather than say you know everything. So using an advisor for making your investment makes a lot of sense, and that's what you should be doing. Getting an advisor makes sense. Then if you don't want to do any of these things, there is a brilliant solution available. It's called index fund. But index fund requires tremendously high index funds have one thing: it has a very low financial cost and a very high emotional cost. You should be able to go to parties and say, I have put money in an index fund. People around you will say, oh my god, I invested in this fund, I got so much return. I invested in that fund, I got so much return. Do you have the emotional stability to sit through in an index fund or an ultra short bond fund waiting for something to be done, right? Do you have that emotional strength? Do you have the willingness to pay that emotional price? Financial price is not what I am talking about. So index funds make sense, but do you have the maturity to say, I will be in an index fund immaterial of what is happening in the market, because I know in the long run I will look smarter, but in the short run you have nothing to talk about. You can't hold a glass of whiskey or beer and say I am invested in an index fund. You're too boring, right? So if you have to invest in direct equity, look for a low cost broker, but also look for a expensive advisor, because there is no advisor available telling you in which share to buy, which share to sell, because that person is different from even your portfolio manager. Like last week somebody was asking me about a successful lawyer, saying should I go in for PMS, and I looked at him and said, I have no clue whether you have the emotional stability to look after your portfolio. If you don't, then don't go to even to a PMS, because you will believe whatever the PMS fund manager says. Do you have the maturity to understand what are your goals, what is the timing that you want the money and all that? Only when you have a good financial plan can you go to a guy or a woman and say, please manage my money. So first, have your financial plan in place. So having your financial plan in place and learning and reading about investing, equity, debt, asset allocation and all those concepts, can you then go to a professional? Because if you go to a professional before you understand how much in equity, how much in debt, etc., he is not going to be able to help you, because he is a portfolio manager. He is just going to say, oh, you gave me 50 lakhs, it has become 60 lakhs or something like that. And understand, in the PMS you pay tax on the dividend. In the mutual fund you pay tax only when you withdraw. So as long as you understand these basics, if you don't understand even these basics, all the more reason why you need a advisor. And believe me, I am not looking for business. Every day I get somebody on my YouTube channel saying, will you please manage my money? I don't. I manage my money, and I'm very happy managing a few friends' money. That's it. I don't manage other people's money, not anymore. So I'm not looking for business. I'm just saying, are you capable of today? Do you have the maturity today to manage your own money? If you not, at 24, very unlikely that you will, unless your family has been investing. Then it's a different thing. Then your father as an investment advisor, your mother as an investment advisor, maybe it's the same guy. So then you can go to that guy or that girl and do it. If you don't have, look for a good advisor. So again, like I said, keep your costs low. So if you get an advisor, make sure that you understand the cost, how it is going to be charged, who is going to pay for it. It pays a lot to be skeptical in this country and in the world of investing. Every guy or girl who comes to you is going to say something which is extremely good for them and maybe good for you or bad for you. But if it is bad for them and good for you, that will not reach you through an advisor. So you have to keep your eyes and ears open. Some things you tell your advisor, something you ask your advisor, something you learn from your advisor, something you learn by searching on Google. Then you ask your advisor to interpret it for you. So keeping your costs down by going to a cheap brokerage, a zero cost brokerage or a cheap brokerage is still worthwhile, but your advisor should better be expensive, because you want good quality advice, right? If he is going to charge you or she is going to charge you on a per month basis, X amount of money, material, how much you invest, that may make more sense even for a portfolio picker. Unfortunately, such people are not available, right? Another thing to be ready is to tell your immediate family, maybe your parents and all, that you will be losing money in investments. Even if you put money in an index fund, there will be losses during times when the index doesn't go up. Will you lose money? I think not. If you invest in a balance advantage fund as an SIP for 7 years, I don't think you can lose money, but there is nothing to say that you can't lose money. You can lose money, you will lose money. In the newly started SIP, you might lose money. You might lose money when you put in direct equity. All those things happen. So keeping your influencing circle, which means your parents, your brother, sister, mother, father, your teacher or your boss, all of them ready for, especially if they don't have investment experience, tell them, look, I can get a return slightly better than PPF. but not every year. 1 year I may get 9, 1 year I may get 11, 1 year I may get 23, and next year I may get -5. Overall it still makes sense because it is greater than 7% which I was getting in PPF. This is how you should be explaining to them, and this is very important, that influencing circle doesn't tell you, oh, you would have got better return in PPF, look at your last 2 years return, why couldn't you have sold after 2 years and then put after 1 year? These things are not possible. Timing is not possible. You will learn all those things with time, but getting a good advisor and keeping your immediate family in the loop is very important and very useful. Right, so I don't think people watch videos beyond 10 minutes. So maybe maybe there are some more points, but I think this is a good place to start with. Thank you.